Just tell me if I do it right.
The lens cap was on.
I watch it every now and again because I like it. Thank you for watching the behind the scenes video.
Wait, I don't want to do this anymore.
No, we started it.
We need to be serious.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I wrote and did sound on Pseudonym.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm the director.
Hi, I'm Duncan. I edited Pseudonym.
And I'm here to talk about
And I'm here to talk about
How we made Pseudonym.
So what about this production enticed y'all to like join it?
So again, I didn't even set out to direct. It was something that like maybe I thought I would do eventually, but it kind of just like kicked my butt to do it when they were like, we have too many people for 3 productions, so we need another director. I'm glad it worked out that way, but it's not something that I like set out to direct that quarter, but it was fun. And I think it was good timing for me to direct because I had been on productions before, so. Okay, good. I was like, where's the behind the scenes person when we need him?
I chose to work on this production because I wrote it, and so I was like, I want to be on a production. I might as well be on the one that I wrote. There's not a deep answer here. It was like, yeah, sure, I'll be on mine. That'll be fun.
why did I choose to do Pseudonym? I didn't. I was assigned. But yeah, I mean, it was my first quarter at the UW, and I just really wanted to do some film production. And I saw Lux in the RSO categories thing, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. So I came to a meeting. I put my name in, and I got placed into Pseudonym, which turned out great.
I just didn't have enough money saved up so I can pay this month's rent. So I put my name up on one of those crowdfunding websites, and Ellie's out here acting as if I'm stealing money from people. But what she fails to consider is that I still have rent to pay and car payments to make.
I miss you dearly too.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Coleman was I forget what his official title was. It was like art production designer or something. And so I was like, okay, we need this like pretend web page on the website. But like he distorted the image so it's like so weird towards the edges. You can see his hair is like not real.
I really like this shot though, like the way that the letter comes into frame and everything. I really like it.
Anonymity is so often used by bad people to do bad things. Take care, Joel.
Oh, also, I just want to say the good boy in the corner was an Easter egg, which is my friend Brandon Crane's film. I wanted to have like an Easter egg in the background, so that was also Coleman who made that cover for Brandon's film, Good Boy.
Anonymity is so often used by bad people to do bad things.
I remember, I think it was in this shot, there was a crew in the frame that I had to get rid of in post, which took a lot of time, and I think we didn't realize it until pretty late in the editing process.
I don't remember that. How did you get it out?
Photoshop. I like took a frame and cropped it and used the autofill tool in Photoshop.
That's funny, I forgot about that.
Aren't you like good with technology stuff?
Yeah? What's your point?
Well, I was wondering if you can help me find out who this lady is who's been donating all this money. I'm insanely curious to find out who this mysterious sugar daddy is. Please?
Not picture.
That picture. Categories.
That's not even an Easter egg, it's just right in plain sight.
That is very profound of you, Joel.
Thank you.
But it still was under the page count, so I'm going to have to fail you on this assignment.
Oh, what the?
This is a lot.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I guess guess it's just that being recognized shouldn't be your goal. You should help people because it makes a difference in their lives, not in yours.
I feel like the end monologue kind of like wraps up the whole story in a way and like gives a moral, so.
How else could it have ended? The whole hero's journey is about him trying to be good anonymously. And if he breaks that, if his friends find out, then it's all for nothing. There's no coming back from there. They wouldn't accept his help, and they would always see him as just buying their loyalty. The story would have even less meaning than it does now.
But I'm curious what Daniel has to say.
I mean, that's pretty spot on, and there's slightly different interpretations based off of what you think. But that was the main message. I think really interesting stories make you think about what does it mean to be a good person and stuff like that. Because a lot of us are always trying to be good, but like, what does that really mean? And a lot of the times, it can be very performative. At what level is it you're not getting anything out of it, you're genuinely just doing this for somebody else, or is it like, do you have an angle? And that's something I worry about and obsess about a lot, so that's something I really wanted to talk about and think about.
You wrote a great story about this kid who gets the power to make other people have a good day, but to what end? You build the story up around the pseudonym, which is good, but it never goes anywhere.
Oh, it gets even more meta when you hear that this story is roughly based off of a real thing that happened to me. So it's a story. It's a story within a story within a story sort of thing. When someone writes or talks, you hear more about them than you do the world. Like when they're writing about the world, you learn more about their perspective and who they are than the world that they're trying to talk about, because it's a second-hand or third-hand interpretation of the world. So when you have something that's like metafiction like that, it's Joel talking about all this, and it's like you're seeing into his insights, you're seeing into his thought process of like, yeah, it would be pointless if I told them now. Oh boy, I had a lot of classes and I was real busy. I didn't really have time to commit to like directing a production. I knew how much work that was, especially considering the 2 times I've really directed in the past, people had like fallen through and stuff, and it was like all on me. I know how quickly, if not everyone's pulling the weight, not everyone's like ready to work on this, how quickly that can landslide into the directors doing everything, and how much stress that would have been on me was like, this is too much. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
So this is my first time directing, so I've never even directed something that I've written, but it's interesting to have someone direct who didn't write, because I might have had a new perspective on the script. Like, I could imagine if I was writing something and directing it, I might be a little bit more protective about what to be cut and what not to be cut. One of my biggest goals with this production was like, get it out on time. And so I knew like the shorter the script was and still conveying the whole message, like the easier that would be. But I can't remember what scenes we cut.
I remembered one of the scenes that I think we cut that I thought was really interesting, it would have been interesting to film, is that scene where Joel's like, I gotta take a and he walks out. It was supposed to be he ropes his dad in and says, hey, I need you to be messaging on this app while I'm sitting out there. And so the 2 people are messaging the dad, and the dad's like trying to message back and being like, yes, I am just a beautiful woman who is like, and it's just like sort of like going back and forth there. So yeah, we still get like the whole story without it, but it's like maybe if we had more time or a budget or something like that where we could really get into that, that would have been fun. But with the way the script goes, like we still get everything out of it without having that scene.
Yeah. The one thing that I do remember, like maybe going back and forth a little bit on, was I like to use scripts that don't have a lot of swearing in them. That's just my preference for like using scripts. And so I was like just taking out all the swear words. And then I was like, okay, well, we have to leave the one at the end. I'm like, there's no way we can cut that. Like, that's irreplaceable. Like, you can't replace that with other words.
Oh, what the
And then the scene where Joel's like, I gotta go take a
You know, you can actually message people on that website. Let's do that right now.
I go take a
I was trying to remove it for a little bit. I don't know whether me and Daniel had a dialogue about it.
I think we did talk about it, at least briefly at one point. You're like, oh, I just took it out because whatever. And I was like, that's fine, you're directing or whatever. I just liked it because, again, it just feels like it has so much more of an impact.
Yeah, I remember we ran that line, like, over and over. Like, trying to get the inflection right.
Say I and then slap, and then gotta take a
You like that?
Gotta take
I feel like it was really great that Daniel was on set because he was the one who came up with the vision of the story. I remember some points, I don't remember any specific things, but like some points where Daniel was like, I kind of imagine it more this way while we were on set. And so that was really great because we were able to like make sure that his vision was coming to life the way that he imagined it. A script is written 3 times, like when you write it, when you direct it, and when you edit it. So it was really nice that my directing was kind of watched over by him to see if he liked what was going on. Because I wanted to make sure that he liked how it ended up, so.
A large part of like what helped me visualize how I wanted it to be, structure the story the way that I wanted it to be, was actually directing in the past and that little bit of editing and just being on, basically just being on production, like knowing how things work and how they flow and what's gonna like be able to get the point across and get the story that I want to do and still be feasible for us to do in a Lux short film production type scenario.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like, maybe there's not one specific role that helped me in the directing role, although editing I think is really helpful, but I know I'm biased. Like, to be able to like visualize how you want it to look after the edit is, I think, super helpful for directing and like knowing what angles work and stuff.
Cut. I think that was really good. Head position, yeah.
But I think just generally being on set for like a couple quarters and knowing how things run and like what works and what doesn't when you're like running a set, I think was really helpful.
I really learned a lot working with Rachel. Well, first of all, I came from a slightly different field of like film production. I used to do like vlogs and promotional videos. I didn't do a lot of these like storytelling things. And Rachel had a lot more experience than I did in that regard. Working with her really taught me a lot about how to edit this kind of films and some editing techniques. There was a lot that I learned from her that I didn't know before, which was great.
Premiere is such like an intense like application. Like, there's so many details to it that's like hard for one person to know it all. So I really learned that like you can pick up tips from anybody, like no matter what background they come from in editing. Like, I learned some things working with Duncan and Duncan learned some things working with me. I learned a shortcut. I think it was the rolling edit when you have like 2 clips side by side and you can adjust where they cut. I didn't know how to do that, and I use that all the time now, but I learned that from Duncan. So that was really cool because we're both editors to like work together and just like learn from each other.
Yeah, I think I learned from you the A shortcut that allows you to select everything before the selected clip. That was like a godsend for me. I think I'm going to mention something that I learned that I applied to the production itself, like the other way around. I was taking CSE 143 at the time, and when I was editing, I got the script notes, and they were not in order. I got tired of like messing around with the stacks of paper, and I wrote a program that helped me like find where I like labeled all the scripts and put it into the database, and it was like, hey, give me this shot, and it told me where to look, and yeah, that was something interesting that I did. Yeah.
I remember him telling me about that, or somebody, I don't remember how I heard about it, and I was like, that is genius. That is so smart. Like, that should be sold to Lux members. I would say the biggest skill that I've taken from Lux into outside projects and my major and things like that is just like teamwork skills on Lux productions. Like, you cannot fake keeping up your end of like what you're responsible for. And it really has a huge ripple effect on like the project and the team.
The biggest takeaway that I got from working in Lux is just really planning out everything before before actually doing something. Like the shot list that Rachel made and the planning was just so detailed and so well organized, and made my job as an editor very easy. And and that's something I took into like other parts of my academic and creative life as well, just spending more time on the planning and the designs, so the actual execution would be much easier. Yeah.
Like I said in the behind the scenes video, just like I feel like this was just a really good crew, so just shout out to everyone who's on Pseudonym. Whether you were able to make it or not, I just felt like it was a good team, that we all kind of had the goal in mind to finish the film, and we did it. So
yeah, definitely shout out to everyone. Like Rachel said, everyone was like just really focused. There wasn't anyone who was just there to like slack.
Editor's note, right when Duncan says there was nobody there to slack off, just hard cut to that video of me.
Yeah, everyone was just really focused and wanted to have a good time, wanted to learn, and yeah, it was overall a really great team. And I guess shout out to Kanwar, that BTS is awesome.
Are you recording now?
No, yeah, I'm kind of recording.
He's kind of recording. Okay, start us off.
hi, I'm Rachel, the director of Pseudonym.
And I am Daniel. I have written the Pseudonym. Thank you for go watch it right now, and you will enjoy it. Go enjoy it, or we'll beat you up. And thank you. Amen.
We're so intimidating.
Yeah, it's the power pose. Bring extra food. Know your role and what's going to be expected of you. And even if you haven't done the role yet, have some idea, talk to the director, talk to somebody, at least be ready to do it, whatever it is. Even if you don't know something, be early if you can, and just be ready to put in a good day's work.
Editors don't always have to be on set, but I think it's really good when they are, because they really get to see what shots are good and why, and like what to use and what not to use, and what the director wants. Editing always takes a lot longer than you originally planned to, so start early, I guess. And working with Lux for the first time, it's just really nice to see that everybody's here having a good time, trying to learn new things, and also teaching other people what they know about making films. And it's just a really good creative environment for anyone who's interested in film production.
I think the point about organization is a really good point. Like, if you organize, it can only make your job easier. It cannot make it any harder. You will make it harder by not planning. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't know how to do something, because obviously Lux is all about learning. Like, we're all here to learn. Like, nobody's gonna go, oh, you didn't know that, like you should know that. Like, we all want to help each other, obviously, and share our knowledge. The last piece of advice I have, which is the most important one, I think, is to keep the end goal in mind when you're working on a project, because the days can get really long and you could be like feeling tired of being on your feet on set or whatever. But just keeping the end goal in mind of what you're gonna produce as a team, and knowing that you kept up your end of your work, will make it all worth it. So yeah, just keeping the end goal in mind, I think, can help you get through a project. All my projects are on my portfolio site, which is rachelkisela.com. So it has all my work on it if you want to check it out, or obviously get in contact with me. That's how to do that.
I'm graduated. I've got nothing going on. You want to know what I want to promote? Hey, I'm free. You guys want me to write something? Hit me up.